Hello my dear students. Today I will be discussing on water requirements of crops part 2 of session 17. This comes under water resource engineering of unit 3. Let us have a recap of our previous session. In our previous session we discussed on the water requirements of crops section 1. In this section 1 we discussed on the various factors affecting the water requirements. Some of the important factors which affects water requirements of crops are: the first is the water table, the climatic condition, the ground slope, the intensity of irrigation, type of soil, methods of application of water, and also methods of plowing. In our previous class we have discussed in detail about these factors which affects water requirements. And also we have discussed on various important terminologies used in water requirements of crops. One is called crop period. What is this crop period? It is a period, crop period may be defined as the total period between the time of sowing of crop to the time in which the crop remains in the field. Right? That is the time interval between the sowing and harvesting. This time interval we call it as crop period. Then what is base period? It is defined as the period from the first to the last watering of crop. The first watering to last watering of crop just before its maturity. Right? So this time interval between which the water is applied to the crop, this we call it as base period. Both the crop period and base period will be in days. Now coming to duty. Duty is defined as the number of hectares that can be irrigated by constant supply of water at the rate of 1 cumex. Right? At the rate of 1 cumex. If you constantly apply the water at the rate of 1 cumex per day, per 1 cumex throughout its base period, right? Throughout the base period of the crop, if you supply 1 cumex of water, how much area that can be irrigated? It is the area which can be irrigated by supplying a constant water at the rate of 1 cumex throughout its base period. This we call it as duty. It varies from type of crop, method of irrigation, etc. Some of the duty of your crops, different crops. If you take rice, it is 900 hectares per cubic, wheat 1800 hectares per cubic, cotton 1400 hectares per cubic, and sugarcane 800 hectares per cubic. Delta. What is this delta? It is the total amount of water which is supplied to the crop from first watering to the last watering, which is stored on the land. Whatever the water which we are supplying from first watering to last watering, if it is stored on the land without any losses, this depth of water which is stored on the land, we call it as delta. And there is a relationship between duty, delta, and base period. What is that relation? The delta is equal to 8.64 B divided by D. The delta is taken in centimeter, B is the number of days, that is base period, and D is duty. Right? This is the relationship between duty, delta, and base period. Now there are various factors which affects duty. First is the type of crop. The crop which require more quantity of water, the duty will be less. If the crop require less quantity of water, duty will be more. This is because the crop which require more quantity of water, we can't irrigate more area. Hence, duty will be less. If the crop requires less quantity of water, more area can be irrigated, and hence duty is more. The second factor is nature of soil. If you have the clay soil in the command area, the water requirement will be less because the clay soil is going to hold the moisture. Since the clay soil is going to hold the moisture and water requirement is less, more area can be irrigated. If the same area is a sandy soil, if you have a sandy soil, right? So in the case of sandy soil, area of irrigation cannot be more because the sandy soil require more quantity of water, seepage will be more, water absorption will be more, hence more quantity of water is required in the case of sandy soil. Hence the area of irrigation will be less, hence duty also will be less in sandy soil. Now coming to cultivation method, if it is properly plowed, if the land is properly plowed and tilled, right, high quantity of water, it retains high quantity of water. Whatever the plowed land, okay, it retains high quantity of water, hence duty will be less. Method of application of water. If you adopt drip irrigation, subsurface irrigation and sprinkler irrigation system like micro irrigation system, if you adopt, it requires less quantity of water, hence duty will be more. If you adopt surface method of irrigation, right, different surface method of irrigation, if you adopt, more quantity of water is required, hence duty will be less. And water quality, better the water quality, more will be the usage and duty will be less. If quality of water is not good, duty will be more. Now coming to climatic condition. So here increase in temperature and wind velocity improves the transpiration losses, evaporation losses. It increases the transpiration and evaporation losses. Hence more quantity of required water is required by the crops, hence duty will be less. If the temperature is less and low is the wind velocity, right, then water requirement will be less and duty will be more. So climatic condition also is one of the important criteria which affects duty. Now coming to base period. Higher the base period, more will be the water requirement, right? More will be the water requirement and duty will be less. If base period is less, duty will be more. Rainfall. If there is heavy rainfall, okay, during the crop period, so rainwater is going to meet the water requirement, okay, hence duty will be less. Duty will be more. If you have a rainwater, if the rain is there, the rain is going to take up all the water requirements of crops. Rainwater is an additional source, right? When rainwater is an additional source of water for the irrigated area, more area can be irrigated with less quantity of water. Hence, duty will be improved. Now, methods of improving duty. So, we have to improve the duty, right? More duty means more area can be irrigated. So, land should be properly plowed and tilled. Micro irrigation system should be adopted. Canal should be properly lined to minimize percolation losses. As far as possible, length of canal should be minimum to prevent transmission losses. And rotation of crop should be practiced. Right? If you practice rotation of crops, it increases the moisture retaining capacity of soil. And farmers should be properly educated about water management in the irrigation field. If farmers are properly educated about water requirements, then they will be using the water in a managed way, right? So efficient way. When farmers use the water in an efficient way, then water requirement will be less. There will be no wastage of water, and water will be applied only at the root zone, and they will be applying only when water is required for the crops. Hence, duty will be more. More area can be irrigated. So, farmers' education is also, educating the farmers is also a very important thing. Now, coming to crop season, this also we have discussed in a previous session. In session 16, we have discussed all these things. I am giving a recap of the previous session. So, there are two types of crop season. One is Kharif season, other one is Rabi season. Kharif season. What is this Kharif season? This season ranges from June to October. The crops are sown in the beginning of monsoon and harvested at the end of autumn. This season between June to October we call it as Kharif season. Some of the important crops which are grown during Kharif seasons are rice, millet, maize, groundnut, jute, etc. Now coming to Rabi season. This season ranges from October to March. Right? October to March. This season we call it as Rabi season. The crops are sown at the very beginning of winter and harvested at the end of the autumn. Right? This is winter crop. This is we call it as Rabi season. Winter season means it's a Rabi season. Rainy season, Kharif season. So the major crops which are grown during this Rabi season are the wheat, gram, mustard, linseed, pulses, onion, etc. This is about the Rabi season. Some crops are grown throughout the year. These crops are called as perennial crops. Some of the important perennial crops are the sugarcane and cotton. This is what we have discussed in our previous session. Now coming to the today's session. In today's session, we will be discussing on some of the important terms which is used in water requirements of crops. Right? And these terminologies are very, very important to decide how much quantity of water is to be supplied to the irrigation field. ಒಂದು ಇರಿಗೇಷನ್ ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ನೀರನ್ನ ನಾವು ಸಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಎಷ್ಟು ನೀರನ್ನ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಕೆನಾಲ್ನ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಒಂದು ಕೆನಾಲಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ನೀರನ್ನ ಅಲೋ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಸ್ಟೋರೇಜ್ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿ ಆಫ್ ರಿಸರ್ವಾಯರ್ ಎಷ್ಟಿರಬೇಕು, ಇದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಇವತ್ತು ನಾನು ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ಈ ಸೆಷನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವೇನು ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ಈ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ತುಂಬ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ನಾವು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕಮಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಗ್ರಾಸ್ ಕಮಾಂಡ್ ಏರಿಯಾ. What is this gross command area? The whole area which is enclosed between an imaginary boundary line which can be included in an irrigation project. Okay, this whole area enclosed between an imaginary boundary line which can be included in an irrigation project by supplying water to agriculture land, right, by network of canals. You will be having a network of canals. This area which is enclosed, right, and which is subjected to irrigation, this area we call it as gross command area. This is a pictorial view of this gross command area. This is where the water is stored. This is what we call it as water spread area. This is the bund. This we call it as a bund where the water is stored at this particular place. This is the water spread area. And this is what we call it as the catchment area or the watershed area or the catchment area, right? And this portion we call it as command area. This is what we call it as command area. Command area is the area where the irrigation is practiced utilizing the water which is stored in the reservoir. We will be running canals, right? These are the two canals. And you will be having the main canal, the sub canal, right? This one will be the main canal, the branch canal, and subsidiary canals, and also we'll be having field canals. The network of canals will be run in the command area, right? And the surplus water, excess water, which is stored in the reservoir, will be allowed to flow through the weir or the spillways, right? The excess water is allowed to flow through this spillways or weirs. And this area, total area, which is subjected to irrigation by a network of canals, right? This area we call it as gross command area, which is a total command area. Here we have two areas. In gross command area itself, we will be dividing this into two areas. One is called unculturable area. The area where agriculture cannot be done and crops cannot be grown. The area where agriculture cannot be done and crops cannot be grown is called uncultivable area or unculturable area. Understood? Uncultivable area means the area where agriculture cannot be done. ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ವ್ಯವಸಾಯ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ ಅಂಥ ಜಾಗನ ಅನ್ಕಲ್ಟಿವೇಬಲ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಯಾವ್ದ್ಯಾವುದು ಇದು ಅನ್ಕಲ್ಟಿವೇಬಲ್ ಏರಿಯಾ? ಮಾರ್ಷಿ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್, ಬ್ಯಾರನ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್. ಸೊ ಮಾರ್ಷಿ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ತೇವಾಂಶ ಇರುವಂಥ ಜಾಗ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಬ್ಯಾರನ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಪಾಳು ಭೂಮಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದು ಗಿಡಗಳು ಬೆಳೆಯೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂಥ ಭೂಮಿ. ಲೇಕ್ಸ್, ಕೆರೆಗಳು, ಕುಂಟೆಗಳು, ಪಾಂಡ್ಸ್, ಲೇಕ್ಸ್, ಪಾಂಡ್ಸ್, ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ವೇರ್ ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಅಲೌಡ್ ಟು ಡೂ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್, ವಿಲೇಜಸ್, ಹಳ್ಳಿಗಳು, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಇರಿಗೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಇದನ್ನು ಅನ್ಕಲ್ಟಿವೇಬಲ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ಆರ್ ಅನ್ಕಲ್ಚರಬಲ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ದೆನ್ ಕಲ್ಚರಬಲ್ ಏರಿಯಾ, ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕಲ್ಚರಬಲ್ ಏರಿಯಾ? ದ ಏರಿಯಾ ವೇರ್ agriculture can be done satisfactorily is called as cultivable area or culturable area where agriculture can be done. ಎಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ವ್ಯವಸಾಯ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಯೋಗ್ಯ ಇದೆ ಭೂಮಿ, ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕಲ್ಚರಬಲ್ ಕಮಾಂಡ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಲ್ಚರಬಲ್ ಕಮಾಂಡ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ the total area in a irrigation project where cultivation can be done and crops can be grown, we call it as culturable command area. It is called as CCA. Here once again the culturable command area we have two types. One is called culturable cultivable area, culturable uncultivable area or uncultivated area. What is this culturable cultivated area? In culturable command area, the irrigation will be practiced in certain part. That area within the culturable command area where cultivation has actually done at present. Okay, where cultivation has actually done at present, we call it as culturable cultivable area or cultivated area. What is culturable uncultivated area? In the culturable command area, within that culturable command area, some cultivation has not been done due to various reasons. In this culturable command area, where cultivation is possible, but the cultivation has not been done, cultivation ಮಾಡಿರಲ್ಲ our particular year ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ನಾಟ್ ಕಲ್ಟಿವೇಟೆಡ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಅನ್ಕಲ್ಟಿವೇಟೆಡ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. Culturable uncultivated area. Next, intensity of irrigation. What is meant by intensity of irrigation? Intensity of irrigation may be defined as ratio of cultivated land for a particular crop to the total culturable command area. It is expressed as percentage of CCA. We will be having culturable command area. Out of this culturable command area, we have done only sometimes the farmers have cultivated only 70%. 70% of culturable command area has been brought under irrigation. That is what we call it as intensity of irrigation. Intensity of irrigation may be defined as ratio of the cultivated land divided by of particular crop, cultivated land of a particular crop divided by total culturable command area. That we call it as intensity of irrigation. Suppose if you are growing paddy, 20% intensity of irrigation, 20%. What is the meaning of 20% intensity of irrigation? So 20% of the culturable command area, the paddy has been cultivated. Intensity of irrigation, wheat is 40% is the intensity of irrigation. Suppose wheat 40% is the intensity of irrigation. What is the meaning of that? In the entire culturable command area, 40% of the area wheat has been cultivated. That is the meaning of intensity of irrigation. Now coming to crop ratio. What is meant by crop ratio? It is the ratio of areas of two main crop seasons. Two main crop seasons. What is that crop ratio? Area irrigated in Kharif season divided by area irrigated in Rabi season. This ratio we call it as crop ratio. That is area irrigated in Kharif season divided by area irrigated in Rabi season. This ratio is called as crop season. Now coming to soil moisture irrigation relationship. Let us have a discussion about soil moisture irrigation relationship. The first is hygroscopic water. What is this hygroscopic water? It is the water which is held in the static state with static state. It won't move. It always will be in static state. It is the water which is held in static state with atmospheric water vapor. That is, hygroscopic water is not capable for any movement. This water particle will be sticking to the soil particle. Soil particle ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ, soil particle ಸುತ್ತಲೂ ಒಂದು moisture ಇರುತ್ತೆ. This moisture which is sticking to the soil surface, right, which won't move at all. This we call it as hygroscopic water. This cannot be moved. We can't able to move it either by gravity or by capillarity, it won't move. And this water particle will be sticking to the soil surface. This water which stick to the soil surface, we call it as hygroscopic water. Right? Next, capillary water. What is this capillary water? It is the water which is held due to surface tension in capillary spaces of soil particle. What is capillarity? It is the rise of water particle when a small diameter tube is placed inside a water. When small, this here, the voids in the soil particle acts like a capillary tube. When the voids in the soil particle acts like a capillary tube, the water level will rise above the water table. So the water level, the top above the water level, above the water table, the soil will become moisture. Right? This we call it as capillary water, which rises above the water table. Next, gravitational water. It is the water in the unsaturated zone in excess of hygroscopic and capillary water. Right? When the water is excess, capillary water, if it becomes excess, this excess water goes out of the soil particle. It moves out of the soil particle. It moves out of the soil particle by gravity. Okay? This water we call it as gravitational water. If you provide some drainage facilities, this gravitational water will flow out. So hygroscopic water, which is the water which holds on the surface of soil. Capillary water, it is the water which holds due to surface tension in the capillary spaces of soil particle. And gravitational water, it is the water which is capable of movement, which moves out of the soil under drainage condition. So this is the pictorial representation of the different types of water. You can see here, this is the water which sticked onto the soil surface. This water we call it as hygroscopic water. Capillary water, this is a water which is held between the soil pores, which rises because of rising. This water which is held in large pores, we call it as capillary water. Gravitational water, the water which drains through the soil profile. The water which drains through the soil profile, we call it as gravitational water. Like this, we have three types of water: hygroscopic water, capillary water, and gravitational water. Next, coming to field capacity. What is this field capacity? It is defined as amount of water which is held in the soil after excess gravitational water has drained. What is the meaning of this? When the excess water is drained out of soil particle, whatever the water which is left out, this water which is left out after excess gravitational water is drained, we call it as field capacity. This field capacity is also expressed as the ratio of weight of water retained in the certain volume of soil divided by weight of same volume of soil. This ratio we call it as field capacity. Next is soil moisture content. This is the amount of water present in the soil is termed as soil moisture content, and it is expressed as millimeter of water depth present in 1 meter depth of soil. If you have 1 meter depth of soil, how much mm of water, how much depth, how much mm of water is present, that we call it as soil moisture content. It is nothing but it is amount of water present in soil. Permanent wilting point. What is this permanent wilting point? The soil acts as a moisture reservoir for plants. If you see the soil, this is a moisture reservoir. We call soil as a moisture reservoir for plants. And this water which is stored in plants is taken up by roots of plants and evaporated to the topsoil into the atmosphere. In case irrigation water is not added to soil, what happens? If you stop adding the water to the soil, soil will become drier and water will be deficient and plants will no longer extract the water from the any water easily. ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ನಾವು ನೀರನ್ನು ಹಾಕೋದು ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಆ ಸಾಯಿಲಲ್ಲಿರೋ ನೀರನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಪ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಟ್ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನೀರೇ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ದಟ್ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ಅಟ್ ವಿಚ್ ಪ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಟ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಡ್ರೈಯಿಂಗ್. ವೆನ್ ಪ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಟ್ ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಏಬಲ್ ಟು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಎನಿ ವಾಟರ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಸಾಯಿಲ್, ದಟ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಪರ್ಮನೆಂಟ್ ವಿಲ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಸೊ ದ ವಾಟರ್ is very required for the plant growth. When there is moisture deficiency, when there is water deficiency, what happens? The plant starts drying because the plant cannot extract water from the soil. That stage at which zero moisture, we call it as zero moisture, where plant cannot extract water, we call it as permanent wilting point. But there will be hygroscopic water will be there, because this water will be held onto the soil particles. This hygroscopic water will be present in the soil, but this hygroscopic water cannot be taken up by plants. Plants ತೊಗೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ ಅದನ್ನು. It won't move. Only capillary water can be drawn by plants, and also sometimes the gravitational water. And this is the saturation. Let us discuss about these diagrams. Okay, this is taken from USDA. This is saturation zone. What is the saturation zone? The saturation zone is the zone where all the voids are filled with water, and when you apply more amount of water, it cannot be retain ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಮಿಕ್ಕಿದ ನೀರಲ್ಲ, it starts flowing out. Okay, this water which starts flowing out, we call it as gravitational water. You can see here the water is getting out. Okay, and here field capacity, there is available water for the plant growth. Field capacity is nothing but the water which is available for plant growth, and water which is held between the pores, we call it as field capacity. Now coming to wilting point, this is what the wilting point is. There is no moisture between the soil particles. There is no moisture between the soil particles, right? There is no water between the soil particles, and at this stage where there is no water between the pores of the soil particles, no more water is available for plants here. Here water is available for plants, but here no more water is available for plants. This stage we call it as permanent wilting point. This is the hygroscopic water, the capillary water, and this is the gravitational water. Next, available moisture. It is the amount of water in soil at any time, which is available in excess of wilting moisture content. Whatever the water which is present in the soil, right, which can be extracted by plant, we call it as available moisture. Then, soil moisture deficiency. What is this soil moisture deficiency? It is also called as field moisture deficiency. It is amount of water that must be applied to the soil to bring moisture content to the field capacity. You see, it reached a stage of permanent wilting point. There is no water there. All the water which is available has been extracted. No more water is available for the plants to absorb. That stage is called as permanent wilting point. At that stage, if you start applying the water and bring back it to the field capacity, that amount of water we call it as soil moisture deficiency. ಅಂದರೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಮಾಯಿಶ್ಚರ್ ಡಿಫಿಷಿಯನ್ಸಿ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಆಪ್ಟಿಮಮ್ ಮಾಯಿಶ್ಚರ್ ಕಂಟೆಂಟ್. Optimum moisture content in the soil is the amount of soil water which can be easily extracted by plants for their optimum growth. For the optimum growth of plant, the optimum moisture content in the soil is the amount of soil water which can be easily extracted by plants. This water which can be easily extracted by plants, we call it as optimum moisture content. Right? So these are the various definitions which is very important for any water quality engineer, that is the irrigation expert. Thank you. So okay, let us have one more diagram here. This is the soil water content. This is permanent wilting point. There will be some moisture, soil water content will be there, but this moisture cannot be extracted by plants. This stage we call it as permanent wilting stage. And here this is the moisture which can be used by the plants. This is the moisture which is available. This we call it as field capacity. This is where this moisture is the one which can be used by plants. If you apply water beyond the field capacity, see here, if you apply water beyond this field capacity, what happens? Gravitational water. The water starts flowing out. It gets saturated. Okay. Next is root zone depth. What is this root zone depth? It is the depth below the ground surface in which crop develop root system. It is the depth below the ground surface in which crop develop root system to derive water for their growth. Okay, the roots starts moving downward, and from this zone the water will be extracted by the plants. If you see, the 40% of extraction will be at the depth of d by 4. If the root depth is d, if d is the depth of the root zone, then 1/4 of the d, that is a d by 4, 40% extraction will be done. 40% extraction will be done at this particular zone. Next, another d by 4, 30% extraction will be done. Another d by 4, that is 3/4 the depth, 20% extraction will be done in this portion. And last d by 4 portion, 10% extraction will be done, because only we will be having few roots. The maximum roots will be in this 2 zone. Okay, this is where the plants is going to absorb water from these zones. Thank you.